We're live, brother.
Yes, we are. First time in a long time, but we are back at it. Another big wrestling season. I know you're excited. I'm excited. We've been waiting a long time for this day, and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, man, super pumped up. We have so much stuff to get into, so much new stuff that we're gonna get into that we're gonna talk about for you guys this year. But first things first, the new theme song for Near Falls in the WPIAL.
Yes.
Welcome to the Near Falls WPIAL show, where Dhall and Kaz are gonna tell you all the things you wanna know. Whether it's Trinity or Spencer Lee or Mr. Kurt Angle, just ask Vinny. WPIAL Ken and Mac for sure. They got the interviews to soothe your soul, because it's Near Falls in the WPIAL.
And that is that, Kaz. That's really good stuff, buddy. I'm super pumped up. What you think?
I loved it. Great way to kick it off. Little shout outs to some people in there, some friends, some followers, some WPIAL legends. I loved it. Perfect way to kick off the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad we were able to put a little video tribute to those in the show. Kenny Sokic, you're my man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for everything over the years. The main Near Falls with Dhall theme song, and now this. You're 2 for 2. Thank you, my friend. All right, buddy. Well, let's get right into it. Where do you think we should start?
I think we should start. Well, we'll get right into it. Kind of recapping last week, like the first weekend of the season. I know we didn't do a show last week. We've been running around setting stuff up. I don't know, get into last week. I know Shark Houston was last week. There was a lot of WPIAL teams there competing, so I think we should get into that first.
I think that's a good call. Shark Houston's always kind of like the mainstay of the opening weekend tournaments. There was so many teams there. I don't know, at least 20, 25 teams. Almost all of them were WPIAL teams. So, man, super pumped up to go over there. I took NJ. We hung out, watched Friday night, and Burgettstown, they continue to put on a show from last year. They take home the first place medal trophy, that is. But man, I was impressed with them. As always, the Vigalotti brothers had those boys, really rolling good.
And that's the first time in a few years that Butler hasn't won that tournament, correct? Hasn't Butler won that the past 2 or 3 years? Obviously, they had
I believe so. Butler has won it the last few years. Obviously, Butler, I talked to Coach Stoner on the preview show, which was awesome, man. I was super pumped up to talk to him because that program is really something. And, the last few years they made great strides. Unfortunately, he said this year they've been hit with the injury bug early, his son being one of them. Just a couple key guys out of the lineup. And obviously they graduated some really, really tough kids, especially at the upper weights. So, but yeah, normally I think you're right. They have won the last few years, but they still take fifth. But like I said, Burgettstown, Plum was another one. I was super impressed with them. We're going to talk about them a bunch today because I saw them over at Hampton Dog Dolls. They looked great over there too. So, but yeah, man.
Yeah, Plum is – we saw towards the end of last year that Plum was getting a lot better. Obviously, getting Nino Walker back in the lineup kind of midway through last year helps them tremendously. And again, I haven't seen them this year. I've seen some of their kids in the summer wrestling.
And Nino Walker, you bring him up, man. He's down a weight class. He's down at 160. So, he's trimmed some of that fat off. He looks really, really good. I'm super excited to watch him. But yeah, man, talk about Plum. Like they're one of, as we get into the season, right? It seems like it's going to be another year kind of like last year, which is good for us, man. A lot of teams are going to be in it, and I expect Plum to be one of those teams.
Yeah, and we talked last year with AAA, and I feel like we always brought it up, the parity in AAA with, we had said last year there's 3 or 4 teams that we all could see winning it, whether it's Canamac, Waynesburg, Connellsville, Trinity, and it's similar this year with I could see 3 or 4 teams winning it. But my biggest thing with the AAA is with the top 3 going to Hershey, it's so even. There's like 8 or 9 teams that I can realistically make a case for that say they could finish top 3. And we saw a lot of those teams on display this weekend at the duels. And I know we'll get into that, but AAA is exciting as it ever has. There's not that clear-cut favorite. Like, we knew the past 3 or 4 years, other than last year, Waynesburg's probably going to win AAA. Last year,
which we made look like fools because we both picked Waynesburg and they lost. Yeah. But, you're champs until you're champs no more, right?
Correct. And this year, I mean, it's wide open. We saw 3 or 4 of the teams that people were picking, and they're all pretty even based off of my eyes. And I know you probably feel the same. We've had a number of conversations on this over the past week or so.
Yeah, man, I agree. Another team that I want to highlight in the Chartiers Houston Classic, Bentworth, man. They looked really, really good. We're going to talk about them a little bit more individually here coming up at the end of the show. But, man, they looked fantastic. Chris Vargo and Vitaly Daniels leading the way. That team they're going to be problems in Double-A. And I love when the floor kind of gets rises up a little bit in Double-A. And, man, that makes for a great team tournament come the end of the year.
Yeah, and we say it all the time in Double-A. If you can fill a full lineup, you're going to win half of your duels. That's how it is. They're going to be able to do that. Are they going to be able to go punch for punch with the big boys? Maybe not in a full duel, but they're going to be in the mix for a spot at Hershey. I mean, the WPIAL takes the top 3 or top 4 in Double-A, so they're going to be right there in the mix. You said it last week. They're a sleeper team. A couple other people that we're close with and said the same thing. They have a good team, and they had a good tournament at Char Houston. So they're definitely one to look out for. They have maybe in Double-A collectively, maybe the best heavyweights. And when I say heavyweights, 89, 215, and heavyweight. Collectively, those 3, they may have the best 1, 2, 3 punch in Double-A with those top 3 guys.
That's big, man. When you have those bigger guys, especially in Double-A, to kind of have to anchor your lineup, to go with, the lightweights that we're going to talk about, man, they got a team. I'm excited to watch what they do and how their season progresses. But, man, they really opened up my eyes at Chartiers Houston. So that was another team I wanted to highlight. Obviously, Pine Richland is another team I want to highlight. They have a couple really, really freaking good kids. Obviously, we've talked about them a bunch, and they're back. Vaughn Spencer's back. He's back from injury. He looks freaking good. He's decking everyone. So, we'll see what happens, man. But I think, Pine Richland definitely could be one of those teams, at the end of the year that we might see make some noise. So,
absolutely. And you said they have some light, like with Ferraro. I feel like there's been a Ferraro there for 20 years.
Forever.
Dominic's back. Very good. Mac Miller, they're going to have a solid team. They're going to be a very good tournament team and a very good dual team. So they're definitely one to keep their eyes on. In that Northern Conference that kind of opened up a little bit. Butler lost some guys. North Allegheny still getting their guys back from football. They lost, Rohan and Fleener. Any of those 3 teams are kind of right there in the mix. That's how that section plays out is going to be very interesting from a dual standpoint.
I agree. A couple other things to note. Penn Trafford went up to the Hickory Invitational Tournament, which is, I talked about that a bunch. That little pocket up there, District 10, District 9, the Reynolds, the Hickory area, and even there's some Ohio teams over there. They're really tough. So they went over there. Or up there, that is. Dylan Barrett won, Hayden Coy won, and Tassel Whipple took second. So, those 3 are going to be kind of like the anchors, I feel like, for Coach Homan and Coach McKillop over there. So, just something that, something to note as we, kind of break down this first weekend.
The other thing about Char Houston, just looking at the champions, there was 2 schools that had multiple champs. I remember last year, some years you see the same kind of 2 or 3 teams have most of the champions. I mean, you had Peters Township, Butler, Bentworth, South Fayette, Freedom, Bradford, who's not a WPIAL school, but they had a pretty good team, came down and competed well. Central Valley, Burgettstown. I mean, there was a lot of parity in that. And I know there's a finals match, Veronic from Burgettstown and Joe Wilson of Washington, which we weren't there to see the finals, but you got to see that match last Wednesday in the duel, and that's one we're going to see probably 8 more times this year.
I'm here for it, dude. Those guys can scrap, man. That was a lot of fun. I went down specifically to watch that match. Now it's only 15, 20 minutes for me, but I grabbed NJ, I loaded them up in the car, and I'm like, let's go, dude. We're going to Burgettstown. I want to watch these big guys wrestle. So, and it was good, man. I was excited to watch them go. I think as the series gets going, Joe's going to pick a couple of those off of Veronic. It's definitely going to happen. You can't wrestle that many times. I think he'll pick 1 or 2 off. At the end of the year, we'll see what happens. But those two, we're going to settle in and watch those two battle all year. They're going to wrestle at a bunch of different tournaments, and obviously, come the end of the year towards WPIAL sections and regionals and that. So, but yeah, man, I was impressed with them. Joe Wilson, only a sophomore, and he's huge, dude. He's like legitimately probably 250, 260, big old arms on him for, a sophomore, only 15 years old. I was talking to Coach Kyle Klein, who me and you are both good friends with, good dude. Talking to him about Joe and his, development. He's a football guy, and I know you're a football guy. He's just man-child on the field, just launches people around, which, I love, you love. So there's nothing like a good football player that gets out on the mat and gets after it. So, but with all that being said, Veronic is kind of like the man. He's been the man for a long time.
Yes.
When did he win his first WPIAL title? As a sophomore or something? So
he was a sophomore.
Yeah, so he's been the man for quite some time in AA. He knows it. You could tell by how he prepares, how he goes about his motions. I watched both of them very closely. So he knew he was in for one on Wednesday, and I was impressed with that match. It was really good.
And I believe I think Wilson beat Veronic once last year. I want to say they wrestled maybe. Now, Wilson didn't finish the season. He had injury late in the year where I don't believe he wrestled individuals. But they had met in the duel, I think in the Burgettstown tournament a number of times. I think they met here last year too. And I want to say Wilson got one on Veronic. I think they wrestled maybe 3 or 4 times.
That's right. Yeah, I want to say that's right. I'm going to look it up as we –
because heavyweight in AA last year was wild. I mean, there were a lot of kids.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was – I love watching heavyweight. It doesn't matter. Some guys call it the dancing bear weight class, but, me being a former heavyweight, I love it.
Not these guys. Veronic doesn't dance. Veronic, he wrestles. I haven't seen Wilson in person just because late in the year he was injured. But even the guys from last year, like you see Niederheiser from Southmoreland's gone.
Yes.
He was entertaining. I mean, he had one match go to the third period in his high school career.
Right. And you know what's going to be interesting as we get into – the AAA, the AAA side of things for the WPIAL heavyweight, especially, man, there's tons, like all the top guys all graduated. So it's going to be a whole new class. Shepard Turk is, the best guy returning. They got like literally the top 4 guys were all seniors. They're all, all the 4 guys that made states, they're all graduated. So heavyweight's going to be another one of those classes. It's kind of wide open, and I'm here for it all day long.
Yes. And we saw a couple decent ones this weekend. Guys that are kind of newer starters that are replacing some guys moving up in weight. It'll be interesting. And getting these football Peters Township has some guys that are, they're in the state finals for football. They're going to get those guys back. We haven't seen them. Same with North Allegheny and Bell Vernon. Fort Cherry as well. All those teams that were in the state finals. So we're going to start seeing probably this week, next week, some of those teams at full strength. I got to assume it's going to take some of those football guys a week or 2 to get back in the flow. But then come Powerade, we'll be ready, which is weird that Powerade's in 2 weeks. Like it
feels like a little farther away. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's, I think that's a good call with the football guys coming back, man. The western side of the state, shout out to the football, the WPIAL football crew out there, man. They killed it. Peters Township did their thing. Westinghouse did their thing. Bell Vernon did their thing. Fort Cherry that you mentioned.
Dominant is
oh man, they're ridiculous, dude. I'm gonna have Damon Sims sit down with me, a DJ, probably in the summer, and we're gonna have a deep discussion about Aliquippa football with his wrestling because they're just ridiculous. They graduate like 60 kids and they go up in classifications and win and win it. That's a whole nother thing for another story. But I love me some Aliquippa football. That's Beaver County. That's good stuff. Anyways, back to wrestling, what you guys are here for. Sorry about that. So let's transition, man. You discussed a little bit about the football guys. We went over and saw Trinity Doles. We were there, on Saturday. I was able to make a couple of those Doles, man. I told NJ, let's get in the car, dude. We're going over to Hampton, and then we went over to Moon, and then we ended the Trinity with you guys. So it was an awesome day, dude. I had so much fun. Everyone, I love seeing all the coaches and the kids and just watching some scrapping. It was just really good stuff. But, going over to the Trinity Doles, we'll start there. North Allegheny down a little bit. They have some of those guys out, football-wise. But still a fantastic Doles. Trinity comes out on top. Me and you both watched the finals. We sat there and watched Trinity and Latrobe, which two of those teams that are in that, top 10, top 12 that we talked about?
Absolutely. And it was – and it was, again, and they were both almost, I think Latrobe had one guy out, Trinity had one guy out, but they were pretty much at full strength other than that. And we saw a really good duel. Trinity ended up winning that 43-24, but there were some matches. That duel, and I think you'll agree with me, that duel was closer than what this, people see a 19-point spread. I thought the duel was closer than that, just from a competitive standpoint. I think you'll agree, because we had a number of matches that were 1 point, 2 point, an overtime match. I mean, it was a great duel to see earlier in the year, and it was a great duel last year.
And you know what that is, man? I think that's a kudos, and that's a good job to the coaching staffs, both sides, for Latrobe, Coach Mears and Coach Tarquinio and the crew over there, Trinity. They let the best kids, they didn't try to flip around the matches. They kind of just wrestled straight up. We watched Hunter Snyder and Bodie Morgan wrestle. We watched Jacob Brom and Dom Canali wrestle. Both those matches were absolutely fire. We were tweeting about that. So I don't know where you want to start, man. I mean, Hunter Snyder's real deal. He gave Bodie Morgan everything he could and more. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways. It's one of those guys that we heard about last year coming into this year that, one of those freshmen we need to keep our eyes on. But, he definitely revealed himself Saturday.
Yeah, that was one of the two individual matches that I was impressed with from both guys. I mean, Morgan came out flying, scoring like crazy. And then Snyder just kind of started chipping away, get a takedown. That was a great – what was it, 12-11? Morgan ends up winning that match. Snyder got a late takedown, couldn't get another one. That was a match I would have loved to see in overtime, just because I didn't want that one to end. I mean, the crowd was into it. That was the loudest I heard the gym all day. It was a heck of a match. And it's Snyder, freshman at a heavier weight like that. It's impressive. He's definitely a guy to look out for in the WPIAL. One of the top, from again, we haven't seen all of them, but from what I read, I would say he's got to be one of the top 1, 2, or 3 freshmen in the WPIAL right now. In the other match that was really good was at 133, Dom Canali at Trinity and Jacob Braun of Latrobe. It was Canali won 3-2 in tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Really
dogfight.
Yeah, great match. Braun Braun got a late takedown to send it to, I think he was down 2-0. Got a late takedown and a ride out to send it to OT. And there were a couple little scrambles and flurries in overtime. Nobody scored, and then we went to ride-outs.
Yeah, man, it was really good to see those guys get after it. And, they both rode each other out. It was impressive just to watch, put the clamps on Canali, jumped on top, threw the boots in, man, and just, he held on. And, that's all it needs when you're in a 30-second period. Get that hand raised. He definitely did that. He was impressive. Trinity as a whole, man, they're going to be a squad that, I think that
they're in the mix.
Yeah, they're in the mix. I don't know, top 6, 8 at least minimum. We'll see how their upper weights play out. But man, from 107 to 72, 89, even 89. That's the other thing. Let's talk about the Allison brothers. Holy shit, they're big as hell, and they look fantastic, man. Bobby doesn't have a brace on his shoulder. He comes out, he is massive. The best he's looked in his career, in my opinion. He looks fantastic. TJ's little brother looks fantastic. They look like they just lived in the gym this summer. So
if anybody needs a strength program in the off season, just text one of the Allison brothers.
Yes.
They're both up about 30 pounds. They're massive. And to be honest, the best both of them looked, I thought. I thought Robbie looked better on Saturday than did all last year. He looked great.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, man.
He looks good at that 89 weight class.
And I think that could be a weapon for Coach Tark at that 89. Him just, he looked like he had a lot of confidence, was just going out there and just wrestling kind of free, man. I was super impressed with that. So, yeah, Trinity is definitely one of those squads. They come home and they take out Latrobe again for the second year in a row, that is. But yeah, man, that was a great one. Hampton.
And congrats, Blake Reiner.
Yes, of course.
Victory.
Yes.
Got his 100th in his home gym. Blake's a really good kid. We know Tark very well. We've got to know Blake's dad, who's kind of like the behind the scenes guy at Trinity, does everything. Paul Reiner, great guy.
He's the man.
We have to give him a shout out. He's does a lot for that program behind the scenes. They're good people. So it was nice to see Blake get his 100th. Really good wrestler. Going to Davidson next year.
Yes, sir. Davidson. Yep. Out there with, Coach Carr. So,
yes.
Yeah, man, that's going to be cool. And there's some other guys, from the area that are already out there. His teammate, one of them is going out with him, Bodie Morgan. So both those guys checking out Davidson as well as Brady Joling, who you know as well. That's one of my favorites.
Yes.
So. But
one other thing about those duels, the Penn Trafford, we got to give the kid a shout out. You say his name constantly. He's one of your favorites. Tasso Whipple.
One of my favorites.
He didn't lose a step from last year. He's more aggressive. He's quicker. He looks like, and he had a hell of a football season. He looks in peak performance right now. He looks really good.
Yeah, man. Selfishly or shamelessly, I guess, Penn Trafford, he's definitely one of my favorite teams. Dylan Barrett, Squirrel. First of all, great nickname. Second of all, I was revealed that he's on the golf team. That's freaking awesome. Tassel Whipple's one of my favorites. Joe Enoch's one of my favorites, who graduated last year. I love the Penn Trafford program. Coach Homan was so much fun on the preview show. But yeah, wow. Man. Oh, dude, wild. Absolutely wild and just full of energy. I loved it so much. But yeah, Tassel Whipple, dude, he's real deal. He's smooth, he's crisp, and he has a gas tank already. We're at the beginning of the year. Dude can still, he was ready to go all the way to the end of the third period. So,
and Penn Trafford has a freshman, Kale Ott.
Okay. I wonder where that name came from.
Got to do more homework, but I'm guessing it's Owen's younger brother.
I'd assume.
He's big, and he's pretty freaking good. Another freshman to look out for. It has to be his brother. He looks just like his brother. He's built just like him. That kid's going to be good. I was impressed with him. Freshman out of Penn Trafford's got a number of freshmen.
What weight was he, buddy? I missed him.
72?
Oh, he's up that big too.
No. I want to say he was at 60.
Still.
He was at 60.
So he's going to end up as a big boy, just like his brother. He's going to end up just like his brother.
Owen was massive his senior year.
Yes. Oh, 215 was so much fun last year, dude. Oh, my goodness. I enjoyed the crap out of it.
We need that to be again this year because it was –
dude, I was looking at some results, and, I don't know if we want to switch over to a couple other results we saw today.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was the other one? We talked about the North Coast Classic up in Ohio, correct? So that tournament was interesting. Ringgold was there. Let me pull it up.
Jake Conroy just said,
"Oh my goodness,
screw Ohio wrestling. I'm just going to pin everyone."
So freaking impressive. I'm losing it. I can't find it. But so he went 7-0. I have it in my brain because I looked at it all day. He went 7-0. He didn't have one match longer than 2 minutes and 40-something seconds.
Decking dudes.
Oh, my, 14 seconds, 13 seconds. Just ridiculous. So, yeah, he looked great. He made the finals, won. There were some Baldwin guys there that did really well. Islamov won. Ramil. Who was the other one I saw?
Minson won that tournament.
Minson won. That's right. Minson did win.
Klodowski took third, I believe.
Okay, so here we go. Islamov took first at 138. Lawler from Ringel, Christian Lawler, he took second at 144. So that's a name we need to keep our eye on. Jack Duncan, he took second at 157. Minton won from Baldwin. Elijah Brown at 175 from Belvern, and he won by tech fall 175. Another one we need to keep our eyes on. Andrew Sharp, so that's a 190 pounder. He looks pretty good. Saw a picture of him. And then Jake Conroy, obviously, he got the pin in 2 minutes and 45 seconds in the finals. But he had 7 pins, dude. I went and looked up his whatever we'll call it, WrestleStat.PAWrestling.com already. 7 freaking pins, and all of them real quick. So, super impressive already for Jake Conroy.
Absolutely.
And, that builds up that 215 class to, something exciting right off the rip.
And then I know you were all over the place Saturday. I just went to Trinity. Talk about Hampton a little bit. You were, you filled me in when we were at Trinity together, but we were so zoned in on the match. Talk a little bit what went on at Trinity, because there's some good teams there.
Hampton. Yeah, Hampton was great, man. And I was talking to the West A boys. I'm like, dude, that's one that maybe you should look at next year, or if they're the same weekend as Moon or opposite weekends. But man, I really enjoyed going over there to the Hampton Duels. That was something that I wrestled in high school my senior year, and I really enjoyed that, dude. Like, you get 5 good matches, and the great thing about it was, I'm over there and I have my little dude in the corner, and I'm just watching the one corner match. They have 2 matches going on. It was Hampton it was Fox Chapel and Mount Pleasant were wrestling in the corner, and then Hampton and Kiski were wrestling. And then the third match, dude, was just like wide open for JV matches, which was fantastic. It was like literally the kids were like walking around like 165 pounder, who wants to wrestle? 145 pounder, who wants to wrestle? And they were just like matching kids up, sending them on the mat. Ref was blowing the whistle, and they were just scrapping. I freaking loved it. They was just scrapping the whole time.
And obviously, there were a lot of close matches, like dual scores.
Mm-hmm.
Like Fox Chapel beat Altoona 31-30. Franklin over Plum 37-30. Franklin over Norwin 34-29. Kiski had a tight one with TJ. Seneca Valley.
Franklin Plum was really tight.
Seneca and Norwin was 1 point. I mean, there were a lot of close duels there.
And you mentioned a couple of the top teams that I think as the season goes on, we'll see how the roster shakes out. I was talking to some of the coaches, Leby and some of those guys that obviously saw the Norwin guys, Coach Martin and Coach King and those boys. But, the lineups, how it is early in the year. Everyone's trying to figure out what weight and the descent plans. And, I know that Franklin Regional, Leby said he had a couple guys out, but didn't affect their performance. They still come home with a first-place trophy. They look fantastic, 4-0 on the day. But, yeah, man, I love that tournament. 2 different gyms. It's spread out. You don't feel like anyone's on top of each other. You can kind of just move freely. Jeff Upson was there. He had all the match streamed on Rockfin, which is super cool. So, yeah, man, you just like to see that,
Bodie Marlowe had a really good.
Yep, he had won 5-0. He was impressive.
Beat Nino Walker 7-2. Beat Luke Sipes from Altoona, a name I don't know how familiar people are, but they're both ranked top 10 in the state. Marlowe won 7-2 over Walker, and he ended up pinning Sipes in sudden victory. Big weekend for Bodie. He had a big weekend there last year. I could have swore. I think he beat Sipes last year in a close one, and then he beat he had another. I think they wrestled Malvern, like Malvern Prep or someone was there.
Yeah, they had like the Malvern backup team or something similar, I want to say.
But he had a number of wins, and I mean, he had a great year last year. We watched him wrestle how many tough matches. The pit committed to pit early. So I'm sure they're excited from what they saw out of Bodie, and we'd be out of pocket if we didn't mention his teammate Maddox Shaw, who ran through everyone as expected.
He's the next great one, dude, out of the area. I mean, we saw him as a freshman take out the number 1 dude in the country, Vincent Robinson, and then after that, I'm like, all right, pencil this dude in. He's with where Rune's at and all these guys that are the next great dudes that come out of the WPIAL. My man won a Super 32 title this year, and not at a tough, at a freaking tough weight. he ran through dudes to get that championship. He went the hard way. So, yeah, I mean, Maddox Shaw, obviously a freak, but just in general, TJ had a couple good guys. Zach Riak, he went 5-0. Shepard Turk, and one of those guys that we talked about at heavyweight that we kind of expect to be one of the leaders, probably right around there at heavyweight, just based off purely off his finish last year and who graduated. So yeah, man, in general, great dual tournament. Always nice. I'm gonna put that on the calendar. I'm gonna go there every year. Sneak in there. It's easy to maneuver. It's easy to get to. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be on the calendar.
And then at the Moon Duels, you're out there. West A won that. Had a good performance. I'm sure Coach Raygard was happy but not satisfied with
He's
his
never
team
satisfied.
effort. Yeah. How did that look? Who else kind of caught your eye out there?
So that's that tournament is interesting. We watched that a few years ago where it was super, super tough, where Connellsville was in it, Kiski was in it. Obviously West Allegheny and Quaker Valley. Best Center had a really good team. Best Center wasn't, they're back. They were one of the better teams. But really, I think the clash of that tournament was West Allegheny and Quaker Valley. West Allegheny obviously losing a bunch with Ty Waters graduating, Nico Taddy graduating, and then they had a couple guys transfer out and Cooper Smith. So, they're down a couple guys. But they were able to hang on and get the championship. But Quaker Valley, another one of those teams that we talked about in Double A, they're going to be problems. They have a good guy in almost every single weight class. And like you said, Kaz, in Double A, if you have a tough guy or a guy that even, kind of knows how to wrestle in Double A at every single weight class, that's problems for the rest of the WPIAL. And not only do they have someone that knows how to, that's there, but they know how to wrestle. So I'm super interested to see what they're going to do. I think they're going to be right there with the Burgestown and Burroughs of the world in Double A. Bentworth is another one that we talked about tonight. But, yeah, man, I'm excited to see what they do. But I think that was the marquee matchup. No real tight matches. We didn't see like a Nick Jones or on a Cazalis or anything like that. It was kind of, just kind of chalky. But in general, it's good to see.
Yes, without a doubt. And then Ironman this weekend. Obviously, we didn't have eyes up there, but the WPIAL bringing home 2 medals.
Yeah.
From Ironman. Rune Lawrence of Fraser takes second.
Yep.
And Andrew Binney out of the 12 seed ends up taking 8th. So credit to both of those guys. Obviously, Rune making the finals. It's an accomplishment not many people can say.
Yep.
Just medaling there is an accomplishment not many people can say. I was fortunate enough to see some kids that I know place there and win tournaments there when I was younger, and the excitement and joy it brought those kids. I mean, winning that tournament's like winning your state tournament, if not more impressive. So credit to Rune. I was glad, he got into the finals. Hoping he'd win it, but there's a lot of season left. And Benny getting on the podium, he had a huge year last year, and he picked up right where he left off.
And not only did he get on the podium, but he also snuck in his 100th win.
Yes, I forgot. Yes, Benny.
Yeah, man. So, we both traded on forgets there. I forgot about Reiner. You forgot about Benny, so we're even, brother. But, yeah, man, both those dudes, hell of a weekend. But Benny especially, man, that tournament is so freaking tough. And it's a mental grind. I mean, you were seeing, like, I tweeted about it too, but what was it? St. Ed's were tweeting, man, they were there till midnight on whatever Friday night. That is wild, dude.
Yeah, people weren't happy about that.
Yeah, man. To go to midnight and then like turn around, some of those dudes probably had to cut weight to make it in the morning, make weigh-ins in the morning, whatever time that was. So, kudos to Andrew Benny to get through there and pick up a medal and come home. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for him and excited for those WPIAL boys to bring home, some hardware.
Yes, that was a good performance. Obviously, a fun tournament, and now I'm sure for the next 2 weeks feel kind of like a breeze to the kids who wrestle in that. But we got Powerade right around the corner. Like we always say, we'll stack that tournament up with anyone in the country.
Oh, there's no doubt, brother. I mean, and I don't know like how, but I feel like it gets harder like every single year. It's just like new teams come in, the depth gets deeper, and it's just like all the kids are really freaking good from match one on. They're all, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but hey, we're lucky. 25,
Yeah.
35-minute drive right in our backyard. You can't beat that.
And Frank says it every year when you have him on. They look for the best, and he goes, every year I say, oh, it's the best we've ever had. And he goes, and then 365 days later, I retract my statement. Nope, this is the best year. And I know we're not going to give it away yet because we always do a big preview. I don't know if you've seen the field yet. It is disgusting.
Yes. Yeah, it's madness. I saw some of that. I'm super pumped up about that. Just in general, that's just, that's a highlight of the year. But coming into this week, little preview action. What do we got going on? I know I'm going out to Burl Kiski. I'm going to head out your way tomorrow. I'm pumped up. That's my first Burl Kiski match. So yeah, man, I'm super excited for that. Both teams are solid. I don't know. Obviously, you have some emotional ties a certain way, but I'm pumped up to see it either way.
Yeah, it's always a great duel. It never disappoints. You're going to see a packed house from both teams. It's going to be loud. It's going to be exciting. It always is. Obviously, I have personal ties to it. I'm a little biased, but I've always said it's the best wrestling rivalry in the WPIAL. Burl Kiski. Schools separate each other by about 5 minutes. One's AA, one's AAA. They match up every year, and it's always quite a show. So I'm glad you get to experience your first one tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Anyone who can't be there, you can tune in on the Westmoreland Sports Network for the duel. I will be there with Smitty, Flick, George Carter with Westmoreland Sports Network. Going to be a fun duel. But not just that, there are plenty of other pretty good duels in the WPIAL tomorrow that I'm excited for. I know West Allegheny and Peters were supposed to wrestle. That has now been postponed. That was a AAA duel we were looking at. Fox Chapel, Pine Richland is going to be interesting. Fox Chapel may be the most improved team in AAA. I mean,
yes, they're very good, and they got a heavyweight he's pretty athletic. He's pretty freaking good. He was one of the better guys. So D'Angelo, I don't want to say his last name wrong.
Hamilton.
Yes, that's it.
And we know.
Yeah, I was super impressed with him. So we'll see what happens, man. I think he can make some noise too. But that match, you're right, man. I think it's going to be close.
The two other duels that I like. There's another one in AA that's going to be really good. Is Fraser and Southmoreland. It was a heck of a duel last year. Fraser made it to the semis last year in AA from a team standpoint. Southmoreland has a lot of guys back. I was talking to Coach Boring last week. He's excited for his team. I believe that match is at Southmoreland. I could be. Yeah, it's at Southmoreland. Yeah, that's going to be a fun duel. So two really good duels in AA. We have those couple AAA duels tomorrow, or we have the AA AAA cross.
Mount Lebo, Pittsburgh Central Catholic's another one. Candimac, Waynesburg. Even though that's
Candimac, Waynesburg. I don't know how I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean you have to look at Candimac, or not Candimac, Waynesburg. Well, Candimac lost a few guys too, but Waynesburg they lost kind of their heart and soul last year, but they still have some really really good guys. I know I just saw
still got Simone and
Shetik. Yeah, man, they got some kids, and the younger Stevenson, Tustin. Yeah, they still got some kids, man. If you think you're just gonna walk in there and just kind of take it from Waynesburg, you're sadly mistaken. They're freaking good. They're always gonna be tough. Every kid's gonna be pretty good. So,
and I think Fort Cherry McGuffey can be now. Yeah, another one. I don't know what Fort Cherry is gonna look like because their football team played 3 days ago. Then I know they have some key wrestlers that play football, so I don't know what they're going to look like. But at full strength, Fort Cherry and McGuffey is by all means a good duel. McGuffey's really young, so that's one I would watch out for as well. If Fort Cherry has their guy, either way, I think it's a good duel. But if Fort Cherry has their guys, that could be interesting. a result that I'm looking forward to seeing because I think that could go a number of ways. I know Burgettstown's at Jefferson Morgan. Highlands is at Laurel. Greensburg Salem's at Ligonier Valley. Knockin North Catholic, Shaler North Hills. You said Central Catholic's wrestling.
Central Catholic got a squad, dude. They got some really tough, bigger dudes on their squad. Nez Green. I know that Roman Thompson was another freshman that we need to keep our eye on, a 215
Brooks
pounder.
Blasco, a freshman.
Yep.
And they have some guys back. Charlie Colantonio had a good year last year. He's back. Central Catholic's getting there. And if they could be a powerhouse.
Oh, so fast. It doesn't take much.
They're on the uptrend for sure.
I mean, you remember when we were in high school, dude, they were nails when we were in high school. They had so many good kids.
Yes.
So many. Okay, so yeah, that kind of rounds out the rest of the dual meets for tomorrow. Going into the weekend, there's a couple really good individual tournaments. The Panther Holiday Classic up in Mount Aloysius College. There's actually a decent amount of WPIAL schools going to that one. Armstrong, Connellsville, Indiana, Mount McGuffey, Mount Pleasant, Quaker Valley, Seneca Valley, and Trinity. So that's a nice little tournament that, we got seven, 8 WPIAL teams going up there. So that's cool, man. And then obviously the other one, the big one out in the middle of the state is King of the Mountain. And there's 5 WPIAL schools going there: Bethel Park, Kennemack, Latrobe, Shaler, and West Allegheny. So interested to see how both those individual tournaments play out.
West Day's going out this year. West Day didn't go last year, correct?
No, they didn't. Troy tried to get him in at the end of the year, like right when he took over after he got the job. And by that time, they already had the line or the the field full, I should say. So he sent an email and he was like, "Yeah, man, you guys are in." So Troy's excited about that. The kids are excited about that. They're training hard, from what I hear. So I'm excited to see what they do out there. But yeah, that's another one. You get all those hammer teams in the middle of state. Yes. State College, Central Mountain's always tough. There's that tournament's no freaking joke out there either.
Yes, and then you have Beast of the East is this weekend as well.
Yep.
That's a Saturday-Sunday tournament. They always do that. And I know Thomas Jefferson's going out to that. Norwin's going out to that. I think there's 3 WPIAL schools. Norwin, TJ,
you're right.
And
Beaver County Christian. I don't know who they are. That doesn't sound familiar.
No, I think
that's a new school.
I think that's a school from out in the Jersey, Delaware area. That caught my eye too when I saw them. Like, I don't think so.
But either way, it'll be interesting to see some of those top guys that we just talked about, and Norwin and TJ test their skills. Sindin, another freshman that we has won freaking damn near everything. He's super impressive. And obviously we talked about the TJ guys. They have a couple guys that I'm sure they're like, we need to be on the podium. We should be on the podium, not just on the podium, at the top of the podium.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see those guys put on a performance out there.
Yeah, and that tournament's like a mini Powerade. I mean, you got STEM, Prep, Blair, the Bethlehem Catholics of the world, Green Pond. That's a very very interesting tournament out there. And then the other big one we have Saturday. Tony, I went last year. I don't remember if you went. The Kiski Duels is this Saturday, which will be covered on Westmoreland Sports Network as well. And they got 10 teams out there. Listen to this field. It's a good field for a duel. Butler, Fort LaBeouf, Hempfield, Kiski, North Allegheny, Penn Trafford, Penridge coming from the east part of the state, Waynesburg, Pierce Township, and York. They have a good lineup.
That's not bad at all, actually. That's a really good lineup.
Yeah, so how they do that, they'll put you 2 5-team pools. You get 5 duels. You get 4 duels in your pool, and then you just cross it. Winner of Pool A wrestles winner of Pool B. And last year here, this was the tournament where Butler had upset Waynesburg earlier in the year. This was that match.
Their coming out party. I remember this now. Yes. Very interesting. I'm excited
for that. That'll be Keebler and Peterman and Heater. They put on a a good spread there. They got those mats. They'll set 5 mats. It's fun. It's a good.
Yeah, man, that's a good lineup. Fort LaBeouf. We just watched them wrestle Connellsville last week on Friday, and it's something that we just we missed. But the Connellsville ended up down in them. Connellsville is another one of those teams that like every year they'll be top 4 or 5 guaranteed. Just pencil them in there. Where they're going to be in the top 4 or 5, we don't know, but they're going to be in there somewhere. So
they're really good, Donnie. I mean, they got a couple freshmen that are studs. They got a core group with Ruggieri and Petrovic and Lonzi, the heavyweight back. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Tyler Gallus. Yep.
They're
Lonzi's little brother Kai has moved up. He's another freshman that these are all freshmen we need to keep our names on, but he's definitely one of them. You're right, dude. And it's not gonna stop. It's not their junior high program was like one of the best in the state last year. So just be prepared. Connellsville's going to be here. They're going to continue to be here. They just keep reloading. But yeah, the core group that they have now, the Petrovic, the Viomas, it's very good. Gallus, Gallus is one of the in a wide open heavyweight class. He could definitely win it. He's pretty freaking good. So yeah, man, we'll see what happens. But Connellsville's another team, obviously, just like every year. They're going to be right there.
Always in the mix.
Yeah, no doubt. Couple other duels. Looks like Ringgold's going to host a duel. They're going to have Jefferson Morgan McKeesport there. Upper St. Clair duels. They're going to have a couple of WPIAL teams: Blackhawk, Brashear, Greensburg, Salem, Neighborhood Academy, North Catholic, and Upper St. Clair. So that's a nice little dual tournament over in the South Hills. But yeah, man, it's interesting to see the new format that everyone has to change up this year to get more duels. To be, I heard a bunch of coaches talk about it this year. They needed more duels to be prepared for the WPIAL, for the points for the WPIAL team tournament. So it's cool to see, man. I love duels. I know you're a duels guy just like I am. The end of the year, whenever the team stuff gets rolling, man, that's like pack the gym and let's see who's better. I love it. It's so much fun.
And the last thing before we close this out with our last little news, and this is nothing to do with the high school. I'm anxious to hear, and I've talked to people about it, the 3-point takedown they implemented in college. Do you think that it's going to make its way to high school?
Buddy.
We're talking about the riding time thing for how many years? Is it going to be the same with this, or what do you think?
Here's my thing, dude. One thing at a time. I want out of bounds fixed in high school. I want 2 feet, or I want completely out of bounds like the way it is in college. If you want these dudes to be high performers in college, it is a disservice to these high school kids to not teach them how to wrestle the college out of bounds. What are we doing? If you can't find the room, don't have the event. If you don't have the room to put out the mats, don't have the event. Period. I don't care. Don't have the event. These kids need to learn how to wrestle college out of bounds rules so they're ready when they go to college, and then they're ready. There's all kinds of different ways you can go about it. Push out roll, whatever. But as far as the 3-point takedown and the riding time point, I would absolutely 1000% love to see it. Anything that can get these kids more prepared for the next level, whether that be Division II, Division III. You imagine like a dude just being like nice on top, like, and you look up his stats and this dude just racks up riding time points. He's going to get offers somewhere. Division II, Division I, D3 is going to be knocking on his door trying to figure out financial aid. He's going to get offers, and it's just a disservice to the kids. Got to figure this out, man. Everything's got to get figured out. We'll see what happens, but I'd obviously love it. I'm huge for the riding time point, especially in high school. These kids work so hard on top. I definitely think they deserve it. But, that's another fight for another day. You'll get me on a tangent real quick, starting to talk about rule changes, buddy.
I'm with you there. We'll save that for another show. The one thing that you and I both said it at Trinity, the officiating there was phenomenal.
Yep.
We said it how many times? Kids are in a little bit of a scramble, or kids trying to cut the corner, guys on a low single, and a lot of time you see stalemates. They let them wrestle through the position. It didn't look like much, but they were both working. They let them wrestle through the positions, little stuff. I thought it was great. Whoever the 4 were at Trinity, I thought did a really good job. Just a little point, which we got to give them love.
Yeah, man, for sure. The refs deserve a bunch of love because they have the most thankless job. I talked to McCara about that whenever he was on in long form earlier this summer. But it is tough, dude, and 100% agree to watch that crew. I hope it continues down the path just to kind of let these dudes wrestle, feel out the positions. And obviously, that's going to make them better down the line. They learn how to scramble through every position instead of just hanging on. Okay, I got to get this stalemate and let's get a fresh start. They're working through those positions. So, yeah, man, full in agreement there. That was very good stuff to see.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, buddy. Last couple things we have. I don't know. Do you want to talk about the Gus's award, or are we going to wait for him to come on and talk about that whole thing?
I think we should wait till next week for him to come on.
So that's a little sneak. That's a little tease, little Gus Mizia, maybe, he might come on. So that's a little tease for you guys out there. Super excited to have him on. But we have our own award, dude. Super pumped up about it.
Yes, we do. So a new thing we are going to be doing this year, we're going to give a Wrestler of the Week award based on, their performance throughout the week and the weekend tournament, whatever it may be. So we're actually going to give 2 out tonight, one for 2 weeks ago. We did do the show, and one for tonight. And we're going to be sending you something. You're going to get 2 things for this. One thing from us and something from August Mija. We're going to hold off on that. Let him tell that next week.
Yep.
Donnie and Chris Cars, Switch Custom Apparel out in West Allegheny. He has been kind enough, designed us a really nice T-shirt that we're going to give out to the Wrestler of the Week each week. Donnie, I don't know, do you have one handy on you right
Yeah, go ahead and keep filler busting. I'm going to find one on Twitter real quick.
All right. So designed a really nice T-shirt for us. Has both of our logos on it. It says Wrestler of the Week. So we're going to mail that to you. Obviously, it's free of charge. So Donnie and I are going to pick that winner every week, and then we will announce that winner on the show every Tuesday. Mail that out to you, or if we're coming to your duel that week or tournament that weekend, we'll bring it to you in person. Save us the $1.98 in postage.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. I don't have it directly on my hand because my Twitter's not logged on this computer, but I have tweeted about it. You've retweeted it. We'll retweet it again. But dude, let's get right into it. Who do you think? Let's do week 1. Who you got for week 1? And now I'll do week 2.
Week 1 to me is a no-brainer, and
I agree.
That is Bentworth freshman Drake McClure.
Yes, sir.
He came out of nowhere, won the Charlotte Houston tournament, beat a number of kids that have placed at the WPIAL tournament previous years, burst onto the scene. So week 1 is going to be freshman Drake McClure out of Bentworth. So congratulations to Drake. We are going to get in touch with you, and you are going to get yourself a free T-shirt.
Yeah,
and
man, Drake.
Something else from August Mija, a sponsor of ours that he's going to.
I think August Mija is going to do once a month. So he's going to be once a month. So I don't know if he's going to pick for one of the 4 guys or he's going to pick his own guy. But Drake McClure, you're definitely getting a T-shirt minimum. And then I'm going to try to get, a little package together of some Near Falls gear too. So you're going to get a little package, man, either way. But yeah, Drake, super impressive stuff. Take first, you take out state qualifier and Jordan Williams. Then you beat Rylan Campbell. And then you go into the finals and you pin Riho Montoya from Mount Lebanon, who was a AAA state qualifier the year before. And I know those Mount Lebo boys have, very, very high hopes for him. So, yeah, Drake McClure, congratulations. You are the week 1 WOW T-shirt winner. All right, bro. Week 2, this was the tough one. We had a lot of discussion on this one. It was really, I think, came down to 2 guys. Jake Conroy was one of them. We have to shout him out. We shouted him out earlier. 7 pins, didn't get on the mat for over 2 minutes and 45 seconds. He was really, really impressive, but he just narrowly got outbeat by our main man, Andrew Binney. Andrew Binney going and taking 8th place at the Ironman tournament from the 12-seeded position. Just the prestige of that tournament, picking up his 100th win along the way. I think just set him a little bit apart. But wow, it was really, really tough. And like we said, the wow tee, right? Andrew definitely wowed us when we looked up that result to see him take 8th place. That was super, super impressive. So Andrew Binney, congratulations. You are the week 2 wow tee winner.
Yeah, well deserved. Like you hit the nail on the head. Placing at that tournament from a technically an unseeded position when it comes to top 8, getting his way in there, getting his 100th win, all that together. Week 2 wow award for sure for Andrew Binney. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Drake McClure, and we're gonna find out starting tomorrow into next weekend who's gonna be the week 3 winner.
Yes, sir. We will have our eyes peeled for sure. We'll see who's going to get the wow team next week. But until then, my friend, I will see you next Tuesday, same place, same time, right here on Near Falls in the WPIAL.
Burl Kiski tomorrow. See you there.
Woo!